Hey, it's Chronologically Gaming, the only channel that's perpetually retro because we're playing every video game in order of release. Join me for the games released at some time in November 1982. We're getting to obscure territory here. Video games that were released at some time in November can be anywhere and everywhere. The last game we played was Connect 4, not official Connect 4 despite the video commercial. Let's see what our next game is. Our next game is The Crypt, released for the Atari home computer 400 or 800. The Crypt is so hard to find. If you saw the thumbnail for the front of this video, the artwork is actually for a later game, because this game, the only artwork that I could muster up or find was this advertisement by Crystalware. This would be our 402nd game that we've seen on the Atari home computer, and this is Crystalware's 23rd video game. The developers make themselves known as Liberty Software. This is the 5th game that we've seen by Liberty Software. Besides this advertisement, there's like a few sprinklings of Crystalware things. Some of the other Crystalware titles that are on this list were in Ziploc baggies. So we've seen pictures of the quote-unquote box, or the front of the artwork for the Ziploc baggie. But this game, The Crypt, doesn't even have that. And that's all we got, an example of the screenshot. Let's go to the Atari and play The Crypt. This is by John Bell and Mark Russell Benioff. Hopefully I loaded it fast enough. This is the 16th game we've seen by John Bell and Mark Russell Benioff. This is the 9th game we've seen by him. At the timing of this recording, Mark Russell Benioff is the CEO of Salesforce and the owner of Time Magazine. He gave me a really nice shout out whenever he saw that we did the Forgotten Island, which is a really old game that he had played before. So this video game is unique because to load this, you have to use the OS Revision A, which is known to be a buggy revision. To make this come up, you have to load that older operating or OS, and then the game will load. But it's known to crash a lot. So if you've seen any of the other games that Crystalware has done, you would know and familiar with this kind of thing, especially here on Chronologically Gaming. The same might happen tonight. So you notice that it took a few funky things to make this thing load and come up and actually get this screen and to be here. We want to play a new game. Let's do it. Now that we got it up, will it crash? Find out tonight. Oh, you're right, Marshall. The advertisement looks just like that. Like it was from AD&D. Yes, a very deep cut, Marshall, definitely. And if you've done any emulation, even with the Atari home computer, you know it's very funky to get it to work or to get anything off the top. All right, so as the Crypt loads, just a reminder for the games we've seen by Crystalware up to this point, there's been some very ambitious titles. Oh, it's already in. Even sounds we've heard from Crystalware. A zombie's very close. We can definitely hear the zombie and the pitter-patter of my feet. So I have my Atari VCS joystick plugged in. I can move freely with the Atari VCS joystick. Let's see if the same thing happens when I push the red button. Yes, it does. If you push the red button, it says you push the red button. So we've seen this before, and this idea of a video game still blows me away. When we originally saw this stuff around late 1980, 1981, it is essentially we're playing a video game that is incorporating graphic adventure elements and RPG elements all in the same thing. Now, whenever I move around, you can see it's going to open up and scroll the screen. There's that zombie. I knew he was around here because it said it was very close. And as we move around, it's going to give you an example of where we are. Uh-oh, where's the zombie now? There's another one. See, now we're on the forest lawns. Thanks for the label. Appreciate that. I think they're talking about the zombie that's up there. I don't think we have as much inventory as we would, because you are going to pick up items in the game, but the idea of playing a graphic adventure game where you're moving around, exploring like this while the screen's, yeah, it's going to be this giant world again, right? Yeah, it is, and there it is, the Crypt, or at least some tombstones to the Crypt. It's because the zombie's close, we'll be notified every single time. Is this? Yeah, there it is. It is the Strawberry Fields. I think we've seen that on another Crystalware game too. But I liked it. this video game idea is so revolutionary, different than most of the other titles out there. The fact that they're trying to do something like this is nuts. Some of the other games that Crystalware has done that we have seen that do this, that could be involved with the exact same engine that John Bell and Mark Russell Benioff have used, have been Beneath the Pyramids, Fantasyland 2041 AD, Cecil B. DeMille Hall. Okay, nice. We also saw House of Usher, which has very strong vibes to this game. Quest for Power, Sands of Mars, The Forgotten Island that I mentioned earlier, Clonus, Clonus 2, The Bermuda Experience, and Treasure Island. All the games play and feel like this, very similar to this. All right, let's just try to engage the zombie to see what happens. Most likely we will die, though. You'll see what happens when we do a fight segment. Come on, me zombie. All right, I know I pushed the red button. Zombie's attacking. Here's our hit points. The zombie's name is Joe. He has 22 hit points. Now we push the red button to attack. Here's how fighting works. That's the attack. We lose 3. Oh, man, it's going fast. Uh-oh. Now, it's what's happening is this is a random, like, number generator. When I push the red button, it's going to calculate all these possibilities. I could be losing health, and they lose health, so I'm just going to see random. Oh, that's good. We only lose 1. He loses 13. I'll take it. Wow, you smashed him. So it is a fighting element that is completely random. All right, Joe's attacking again. Let's see what happens. We have 8 hit points, and they only have 9. So we can press our luck. This is the way the fighting works, not just in this game, but some of the other Crystalware titles too. All right, push the red button to attack. I want to attack. Now, one more time. This is, again, we're rolling the dice to see if we can get this. Yeah, it's almost like spinning a wheel. I'm looking down at the bottom. It looks like it's not following a pattern. It looks like it's just going completely random. But it looks like we can do this if we get a good roll. Ready? Yes, we lose 1. And they're dead. He lost 13. That's pretty good. You've killed Joe, the zombie. Maybe we'll stop hearing now zombies approaching because he's totally dead. Nice. And does he remain dead? Yes. Okay, status is there. There's the time, gold, and our power is currently at 219. Okay, so does it leave a... Yeah, it leaves a dead body on the screen. Sweet. All right, so what do we got here? Ouch. We got walls. This looks like different crypts. Cecil B. DeMille, can we go in here? Your status is that. Time, gold, and power. Oh, we can't go inside. And, of course, when I push the red button, that's what it definitely lets us know. Appreciate it. Can we go inside? I'm just wandering around because this is, if you think about it, this is a concept for a video game that is much larger in scope than most other video games that are out there. The only ones that have come to mind that have been, this big have been something that goes really role-playing, like Wizardry or Ultima. But then Wizardry was mostly the dungeon crawler on first-person perspective. This one, I can understand how you can't get out that easy. I can understand how you could compare this to something like Ultima, but this one isn't necessarily that big. We've fallen back asleep. Press start to reincarnate. What? Do we run out of energy or something? All right, I'll push start. I wonder if that means we restart. Yeah, so for this one, there is no paperwork or information other than people that have played the game to figure it out themselves. So there isn't official instructions on how to play this title. But there is going to be later because they re-released this one. This is the very first time you would have ever seen this version or the Crypt version of the game. And so as far as your objectives and goals, you're just meant to explore the Crypt and find treasure to get points, at least for this first version. Is it the same zombie? Joe, are you around? Let me go down south to see if we have something different. So it's honestly so large, and I've said this about the other Crystalware titles, that they're punching way above their class for video games. And so a lot of the times it can be very slow and boring because there's just so much. It's a lot of empty space that you're having to go through right here. But it is a very well done experience. The engine is very well done. And the other titles, sometimes they're hit or miss, depending on what kind of content they have. This one for the Crypt, it almost feels like this one isn't completely fleshed out. Maybe a rush job, maybe they took the engine and tried to put something together, but didn't finish it with it. Yeah, as far as, there is like a high score, but they're mixing adventure elements and also, oh, we got something over here. What's this? 127 gold pieces. Nice. See? Exploration. I'm exploring. We still have a zombie coming. They let us know every few times. This has several tropes from other horror video games. We got vampires in here, zombies, werewolves are in here. It has the element of hunger and thirst, which is why I think I had fallen asleep. I ran out of energy. I have to make sure I eat enough food. In this one, I don't think, if I try any keyboard command, there's my inventory. If I hit I, it shows my gold pieces time. You have to continue to consume bagels in this game, so that's how you stay alive. Kind of like when we played Calibeth, you needed to have enough food. It's all about bagels here on the Crypt. And then we got Joe the zombie, I think, that's running after us. So you can see as I move around and I try to go to the other side, it's going to ask to load. I don't think this version says it. It is two sides that you have to flip over of the disc to play, which is, again, another rarity for the Atari home computer. We want to play cartridge-level games, but you see what it just did? It had a freely scrolling area, and now it's flipped to a completely... Oh, wait, are we on the opposite side? Yeah, I think we are. We're now on memory lane. When we played this previously, or other games like this on Chronologically Gaming... Oh, we got a vampire coming now. That it would be wandering around and you would be exploring more than you usually would in any other video game around the time. We've seen a few others that are like this or close to this, but when this first was introduced, I was amazed. Fantasyland 2041 AD is so big and so massive. It's also very buggy. It's like the Bethesda of the gaming world right now. But a lot of things that are in this game. We got a time constraint based on... We have the hunger and the hunger mechanic that you have to make sure you continue to feed yourself. So you have the role playing elements that are present. There's a lot that's going on with this one. Oh, the vampire's getting very close. Oh no, what is this one? The Field of Marty. There's our status. It looks like we're getting lower. I think we ate a bagel. That's what happened. So if I go to inventory, how many do we have now? Oh, I still got 5. Okay, yeah, we're doing good. No problem. The Field of Martyrs. There, that makes more sense. But as you explore, you're going to get more gold. You'll be able to buy more things and items, find more items. There isn't a true like level up system that you would expect with other role-playing games. That's why I'd say it's role-playing elements. Your character that you're playing just by the items is going to be able to get stronger and move forward, but there isn't like an experience system or anything like that. Well, we don't need to find the manual for this one because while this version of the game is more obscure, we are going to be playing a later version of the game. This is going to be released later, picked up by Automated Simulations or Epics. And they're going to rename the game and call it Crypt of the Undead. So we will be seeing that before we end 1982. And this is what other Crystalware games have done. Epics or Automated Simulations picks them up and renames them. We've already played Escape from Vulcan's Isle, which essentially was the Forgotten Island remade. And we also played King Arthur's Heir, which was Quest for Power remade. So this is the Crypt. We're going to see this remade as Crypt of the Undead by Epics or Automated Simulations. But I still enjoy this kind of gameplay, where while it is very large and open-ended, the fact that you can go around and explore so much, it is honestly like a very proto-Legend of Zelda experience. And I said that when we played the other versions by Crystalware. They are doing something that no one else would want to do. Is this walls here? Yeah. I just smash into the sides. And being able to move around with the joystick kind of reminds me a little bit of Dragon Stomper that we played on the Atari 2600. This one's even bigger than that. And you could say that one had a lot of open space, but I mean, it only had a few different areas. This one's huge. Oh, is that our vampire? Let's see if he chases us. Yeah, there it is. He's been stalking us this whole time, so I should be able to cross the street. Yeah, there it is. Nice. Also, notice how everything's so tiny. Shows us our status. Maybe we ate another bagel. This is Ash Drive, I think. Yeah, so not nearly as much time as you could spend playing these kinds of games by Crystalware, including the Crypt. So I cannot give the game total justice, because here on Chronologically Gaming, we give you your first experience, what it's like to play these games when you just first pop it in. And there you go. I think we ate all our bagels. We're back to sleep. All right, I'm just going to go and quit out of the game, and there it is, The Crypt for the Atari home computer. Now, at this point, I still would call this still a very well done, fun game. Despite the the intricacies, this engine though we didn't crash this time, but it can be buggy still. So I would still say this is above average for the games you could play. Everything else across all home computers, because it's not doing an arcade style game. It's mixing and meshing genres, and I love that. I love video games that we can't fully describe here. I know, right? I almost did that, Marshall, and took them on, but we're not going to do it tonight. Yeah, so this one is difficult to rate because you'd have to play it so long. It is not just, hey, what you see is what you get, a simple arcade experience. There's a lot going for this one. So I'm actually going to say, of all the games you could play up to this point, it's still above average. There are better Crystalware titles and even more ambitious Crystalware titles, but the Crypt has something to be desired. I'll say still 3.5 stars, though. Yeah, most people in the chat I see are giving 3s, averages, or yes. Oh yeah, and to get the monsters off the screen, man, yeah, I can see you be nagging on that too. It is more than average, but it has greatness that could be given even higher than that. All right, so with that, let's see what our next game is. It is The Crypt that they ported to Apple II. So it is more of The Crypt. And again, I have no information, not even from the best sources of Apple II releases. I only have the advertisement flyer. This one is the 418th game that we've played on the Apple II here on Chronologically Gaming. And that's all I got. An example of the screenshot as well. Yeah, we have nothing else to go on. And this one, again, has both sides of the disc. Let's pop it and play The Crypt. This is, again, by John Bell. And this time, Steve Fisher did this one. Released at sometime in November 1982. Okay, so this one actually gives you some exposition compared to the Atari version. So this one was the port they made next. And Steve Fisher helped John Bell with this one. So this is John Bell's 17th game that we played here on Chronologically Gaming. And this is Crystalware's 24th game that we've seen on Chronologically Gaming. This is Crystalware's final video game. To my knowledge, there's no other video game that's published by the label Crystalware. So John Bell, Mark Russell Benioff, a lot of the people that were involved with Crystalware moved on to other companies, so we will continue to see games that they've done. Like I mentioned already, Epics and Automated Simulations are going to pick up other games by Crystalware, but here you go, the last video game by Crystalware. They've given us all those amazing titles: Beneath the Pyramids, Fantasyland 2041 AD, House of Usher, Quest for Power, Sands of Mars, The Forgotten Island, Clonus 1 and 2, The Bermuda Experience, and Treasure Island. And so for all the video games that we've seen, not even more than those, that Crystalware has done, they have been a company that has influenced, well, if they got over to Japan, they would have been an even bigger influence, but they only stayed in North America. All right, so our goal is one of the adventure genre. Your goal is to get out of the crypt before sunrise while gathering the largest possible treasure and killing as many monsters as you can. I believe someone in the chat, Marshall, may have mentioned, what is the point of the game? Is there any instructions? Well, there it is. That's the point of the game. The Apple II version, though, has no joystick control. There are only keyboard commands. They're going to explain all the commands to play this game, but you can't plug anything in. Even if I got my joystick plugged into my Atari right now, my Apple II, it doesn't matter. You just press the letter of the command and it's carried out. All right, so ready? We push any key to continue. It explains what the buildings are in the game. Crypts are located throughout the buildings are going to be located throughout this area, and within them you can find treasures necessary for winning the game. So I didn't mention this when we played it on the Atari home computer. You could go into other locales, and they've done this with the other engines Crystalware has done. So this one is, it's almost like the House of Usher was going from room to room, kind of like Berserk, but on a larger scale. The Crypt, is like you're taking the overworld of the other games that Crystalware has done and allowing you to go inside to other places. It's massive. All right, so then we have other buildings, 4 different ones, which keys can be found. Key number 1 is the key to the mausoleum. Key number 2 opens the movie hall. Number 3 permits entry into the Bell Crypt. And number 4 is the key to the crematorium. And then there it explains the bagels. Since this adventure occurs late at night, you will need a constant energy supply. Bagels are the supply. You begin with 5 bagels, and since you automatically eat 1 bagel every 7 time units, it is imperative that you restock your supply often at the crypts. Are the crypts filled with bagels? Is that what they're saying? There's some places that are very dark, and this flashlight, which can be found at one of the crypts, is needed to see in them. This gives you the example of kind of the adventure game elements that are present. There are places you cannot go until you find the flashlight. Once you find the flashlight, then you can adventure on. And then gold pieces, they say self-explanatory. There's chalk needed to write with. It can be found in the crypts. You also have a pocket watch. You awaken on the lawn carrying the pocket watch, and all it does is keep track of the time, because you have to be able to do all this stuff before it gets too late and escape the crypt with as many treasures as you can, because the sun's about to rise. So that's why this game has a time constraint. Got to do everything before the sun comes up. There's many monsters roaming the crypt. This has a very good horror theme with vampires, zombies, and so forth. They can attack you without notice. We have hit points, and they tell you what they are. Hit points are a measure of the amount of damage. Wow, if you're not a Dungeons and Dragons fan, they explain what they are. If they reach 0, you're dead every time a monster is slain. All right, so here's all the commands. Everything's keyboard controlled. I can't even move using the usual cursor keys, because Apple II, if you remember when we played Ultima, the cursor keys aren't in the usual place you've seen on the keyboard. But this one just says, forget all that, just use N, S, E, and W to move around. Very adventure-esque, right? Oh, and in the chat, Marshall's bringing up the Rush project. So because we don't have a lot of information on this game, I'm sure the story behind this is awesome. I'd love to do an interview with Mark Russell Benioff to get a little bit more info, because at this time, I believe he was only 15 or 16 when all these games were coming out. And I would hold that reference, Marshall, and say, yes, I think it was rushed jobs, because a lot of the games they released were very, very ambitious, but very buggy. All right, so baggage is how we look at our inventory. Check is where you can see if there's when you're inside of a crypt. P is to pick things up. U is to use something. And then you can also save your game and return at a later time, which is awesome. And then G allows you to go into a building if you see one. Do you want to review the instructions? No. Let's go in the game. I'm ready to play. All right, we want a new game. So similar interface that we saw on the Atari home computer. And now it's going to want us to insert side 2. I am taking the disc out, flipping it over, going to side B, and now I'm hitting return. Just pretend you saw me do all that. It would have taken a little bit longer in 1982. Okay, so now that we're in the beginning of the game, it's on. We're in. Every time I hit W, I move west, which means I have to tap every single time to move like this. This is extremely cumbersome. But I believe we're in the same area we were before. Where's north? There we go. Let's head north. Oh my gosh. I got to tap in every single time. It reminds me of a little more rudimentary adventure games we saw around the early 1980s. Oh, wait. It didn't scroll at all. It flipped every single time to the next screen. So I didn't get any scroll like we did on the Atari version. So to convert this to the Apple II, Crystalware didn't do too many releases to the Apple II. They always started on the Atari. And this one, man, okay, maybe this one scrolls if I go past the street. It looks like it's the same place, but it's all chopped up into different places. Let's keep going. Yeah, there's north. Okay, so we can make our way around. There's also no sound. I heard, remember when it seemed more lively on the Atari. This one feels even more rushed. Or maybe the programmers weren't as familiar with the hardware to transfer it over to the Apple II. They did it with a few other titles, though. This one feels even more rushed. Gosh, right? Yeah, every screen has to be loaded. It's just a very slow, cumbersome affair. And wait, can I enter any of these? Let's see. Oh, something's happening. We're at David Drive. Okay, well, let's go. Oh, I want to go back north. Yeah, if you switch the screens up, it has to take that time to load it. Yeah, and where's Joe the zombie? Where's all the enemies? I feel even more alone. This is like Last Man on Earth experience. Go back west. Oh, man, the keyboard controls are so cumbersome, though. All right, so enter, I believe. No, not enter. Where's my baggage? How many bagels do I have left? I only got 3 bagels left. There's my pocket watch. Hit points gold. and any key to go on. Okay, got it. All right, so if we want to go inside of a crypt, we say, oh, nothing there. Enter is, oh, G to go. And if I try to go, nothing happened, which means I couldn't go in that crypt. Okay. But, man, can I even go diagonally if I push? You can't. You can only go in the 4 cardinal directions. Gosh, that's so cumbersome. More old school. But I've already said before on the show, video games that allow you to use the joystick are just so much more enjoyable. And this one's a good reason why. This one feels more like an adventure game or a graphic adventure game than the Atari home computer version. All right, maybe I can enter this one if I go here. Go. Nothing happened. Miles Menagerie. You also have to wait for nothing happened to go away. And another thing to bear in mind is the emulator we're playing this on the Apple II is an advanced version. So it's not Apple IIe, it's an advanced version of the Apple IIe, which means it's running this and playing this even faster than you would have experienced it in 1982 by a small margin. But just remember, you'd be waiting even longer on the Apple II. So again, it's another video game though that's trying to do a lot, but this port is rough. This is a really rough one. All right, maybe it's this one. Can I go in this crypt, or am I still just supposed to wander around? Go. Nope, nothing happened. And where's the enemies? So if I was going to say that the Atari version was above average, this one feels stark different. This feels subpar considering everything else that you could play out there. Let's keep going east. I know it's something feels off. Uh-oh, we ran out of bagels. Hey, at least they told us on the Atari version. They didn't say it. You fall asleep from lack of energy, and the monsters eat you during the night. Or at least they don't want to shy away from that. Enter. Oh, you can start over. Yes, I know. I ran out of bagels. Oh my gosh. Yes. We know. Can I restart? Maybe the enter isn't working. Press return to start over. Whoa, it doesn't even return. Yikes. So to find these two games, the Crypt on the Atari home computer and this one on the Apple II, it was very difficult to get these to come up and run and work the way they're supposed to. They feel like they're slightly a mess, like there's something off or strange about them. But Epix picked these games up and re-released them a little more polished. They had some people that play tested these games. I don't even know for sure if these were play tested when they first came out. That's right, Prime Rib. Man, oh man, those bagels. We needed more bagels. All right, well, there's a taste of the Apple II version of the Crypt. So much to be desired. Very, very just off and strange. But to tell you the truth, most of the Crystalware games gave me the same vibes. They were doing things that was pushing way more than other video games were, but then there was things that brought them back. But this one is even more off. It just feels strange. I don't know if I want to call it bad, though, because we said the Apple II or the Atari home computer version was 3.5. And so for this one, I don't know if I can go as low as saying 2 stars. But it is a very off port. So I might even, I think I'm going to say bad because it's just too slow paced. The elements of the game were translated in this way in a very wrong way. So if you want to see port differences between video games, this is a good example to look at. Brian saying 2.5 if Atari was 3.5. Yeah, and I see 2.5. So not everyone's saying bad. There's just a couple people threw out 2 stars. I don't know if I can go as far as, because, no, right, no sound too. Something was strange about it. Yeah, I'm going to have to say 2. I'll say bad. For all the games you could play right now on all home computers in November 1982, there's a lot more and better games out there than that one. But you got to admit, very ambitious and a very cool experience. And that's why we got to put our video game playing on pause this evening. We're going to see lots and lots more of experimental games trying to do something that no other game has done. Crystalware was one of them, and I'm sad to see Crystalware go, but I'm glad that we're going to see the developers again releasing on other titles too. We have a lot more games that we're going to be checking out as we play all the games released at some time in November 1982. Next time on Chronologically Gaming, more chess, more adventuring, and more commanding missiles on the Coco. And you do not pass go, you do not collect $200. That's it for today, and like I always say, make the games fun to play and you can put me anywhere at any time. Hey everybody, thanks for checking out the channel and joining me on my quest to play every single video game in order of release. We'll be streaming live every weekday at 9 p.m. Central, so join us and let us know if we missed any games along the way. This video would not be possible without Launchbox, RetroArch, and MAME. Tell all your friends there's some crazy guy named Chronologically Gaming trying to play every single video game. We have links down below that'll send you to places like our Discord and Patreon, and one that says all the video games we've ever played. If you go there, it's a list of everything, and you can click right to the game you want to see. Chronologically Gaming is the name to look for. We are perpetually retro, and we will catch you next time.